This is going to be a tips and tricks video on coloring Eco Resin with acrylic paints. I'm using a mold there of ours. It's a Trinket dish half moon mold. We're not selling this one. It's just one I have in my arsenal. And I'm starting off using rose pink tube paint. It's an opaque color by Liquitex Basics. Some Quinacridone Magenta fluid paint by Golden. And I did add in some permanent violet darks by Golden as well. Both of those are transparent colors. I'm using Bond Craftor Casting Powder. And there I have some Hera, Hera, color shifting shatter cut glitter by the Glitter Guy. And I'm also going to add some Ballet Shoes Iridescent glitter by Glitter Hippo. And I'm really liking putting glitter into my Eco Resin dishes because it creates a really nice texture without a lot of huge holes and pockets. So I'm being very liberal spreading it in there. And what I'm doing is, I'm mixing up 250 grams of the powder to 75 grams of water. That's a good fit for this mold. It makes a nice sized trinket dish. And I'm just tapping the glitter around there. I found that using the inks that come with the casting powders are really not that great. They're basic colors and I just don't like that. So you see I have my 75 grams of water and I'm just mixing around that rose pink, which is an opaque color. And I think that's the important thing here from my learning with acrylic paints. The opaque color is a solid color and you see it dispersing in the water really easily there. I didn't really want like so much of a baby pink color, so I will add some of the Quinacridone Magenta in a minute. Oh, there it is. I just kind of squirted that in. Now that liquid magenta is a transparent color, but I think that's okay because I mixed it into the opaque color. And one thing I've also found, Bond Craftor Casting Powder is very thin when you mix it up. It's almost like water, but there's some kind of scientific thing going on when you mix these colors in, like the acrylic paints, or if you put in mica, the casting powder tends to get thicker quicker, and it's kind of weird. You're thinking if you're adding more liquid, it wouldn't. And here I'm adding the powder into the liquid rather than the liquid into the powder. And you'll see it gets really, really thick to begin with, but you just keep stirring and stirring and it eventually blends in really well. You do have to stir for at least a minute or two. And I left this first part real time so you could see that the struggle is real. See how it's looking like really like pancake batter there, and I didn't know if it was going to work out. But once the powder blends in with the water and the color, it gets very creamy. You might add a little bit more water. I did a test with some small molds where I just added color and just added a little bit of powder to it, not the correct ratios. And eventually it did cure and I got some pretty deep colors. Eco Resin also tends to dry a little bit lighter in color than what it looks like. There I'm just adding a little bit more of the Quinacridone Magenta and I've sped it up here. And there's a few dots of that permanent violet dark, which is also another transparent color. I just wanted to kind of get that pink away from looking like Pepto-Bismol or bubblegum pink. And then for this one, this was actually the second one I had done. I ended up kind of marbling it after I put more of this purple in, and it kind of got, the marbling didn't show up that much, but it did add some little globs at the end. So here I'm getting ready to pour it in, and you see how thick that is? Where, like I said, Bond Craftor casting powder tends to be very, very thin, but it was still movable, so I figured I was doing okay. And here you just want to shake it around to try and get rid of any air bubbles, tapping the sides while getting the rest of it in there. And then I found when the bubbles rise from this, I just take a toothpick and pop the bubbles with a toothpick right there. I'm doing it really fast. I didn't do it this fast. This is a sped up video, obviously. And then it's time to demold. And you guys actually get a 2-for-1 in this because I'm going to do this in another color after I finish this one. See how pretty that turned out? That Ballet Shoes glitter gives it that iridescent sheen, which is just beautiful. That one turned out good, so let's try another one using transparent acrylic paint, and you'll see how different this works. This one I'm going to be using Prism Violet, which is a transparent paint by Liquitex. Same Bond Craftor Casting Powder. Same glitters. And didn't have to watch me doing this slow motion again, so I just showed you adding in that glitter. I found that any kind of chunky mixed glitter works really well in these molds or with casting powder, and then the finer glitter just adds the sheen to it. I want to make these in every color now. I think I have blue, purple, and pink. And just speeding it up, putting a little bit more glitter in there. And same amount of water. I have 250 grams of water to 250 grams of powder to 75 grams of water. And now watch this. This is transparent paint. Totally different than the way that opaque paint worked. See how it's like, it must be the fillers or whatever makes up this paint. It's not blending very well. I think I actually go in and take another transparent paint, Dioxazine purple, which is a little bit darker, and then I also take that permanent violet dark, just trying to get it a deeper purple color. And this one you'll see does lighten up a lot because I think it's the transparent paint. So just like when you do paintings, the transparency and the opaqueness of it matters. It obviously matters in this as well. And of course, using good paint brands. I think if you used craft paint, it's not going to work as well. It has to be opaque, and I don't think it matters if it's tube or liquid. It just needs to be an opaque color to start with. So there you see I have a pretty good purple going on. But this is the one that lightens up after curing. I think I add a little bit more of that permanent violet dark. That's a fluid paint by Golden. I'm liking that purple color. But like I said, this one starting off being the transparent color, it does lighten up considerably once this dies. So there must be some property within these casting powders that eats color. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. But again, the powder got a little bit, or the mixture got a little bit thick because of the color in there. So you probably could add a little bit more water to begin with if you wanted a more fluid paste to work with. But basically that's it. I like this coloring technique. This is the best color that I've gotten out of using mica powders or the colors included with these things like Resincrete or casting powders. So I think the acrylic paint is the answer, but just opaque colors of acrylic paint. And there I'm just popping some bubbles. And see how much that's lightened up? It's like the color almost disappeared. Although the final piece did turn out nicely. So all I have to do is sand the back and finish it off on the front, and these dishes are good to go. Pretty and sparkly.